The sound of my sister's voice the night she broke was unlike anything I had heard before, sharp and trembling like a glass about to shatter. I had been pretending to sleep. When I heard my mother's gentle knock and her soft call, "Emily, can we talk for a moment? Tell us where you're watching from, we'd truly love to know, and if there was a moment in this story that touched your soul, please share it with us in the comments. It would mean the world to us to hear your heart." Emily's door creaked open, and for a while there was only silence until she answered, "Fine," but her tone carried the weight of months of defiance. Emily was 17, brilliant but restless, always saying school was useless, especially when the fridge was empty. She had been skipping classes, wandering with friends by the railroad tracks, while I watched from behind the chipped living room door. Our mother, Grace Parker, was the kind of woman who never raised her voice, yet her words could still move mountains. That night she spoke slowly, telling Emily about the 5-mile walk to a crumbling schoolhouse, the bare feet, the empty lunches, the hope she carried like a secret fire. She told of a teacher named Mrs. Lowell who told her, "Grace, if you keep reading books like you breathe air, one day you will fly higher than anyone ever thought possible." But Grace never flew. Life pulled her into marriage and struggle. Yet she read, she learned, and now she wanted Emily to fly. Emily's voice cracked. "What if I am not good enough? What if I try and fail?" Grace reached for her daughter's hand and said, "You are allowed to fall. Just promise me you will fall forward." Emily sat still, her head low, her shoulders shaking, and in that quiet, I saw something begin to break and rebuild at the same time. The next morning, Emily did something none of us expected. She woke early, brushed her tangled hair, and walked through the rain to Maplewood High. Alone days turned into weeks, and her name began to appear on notice boards, until one afternoon, the announcement came: a statewide academic challenge with the best students from across Ohio. Emily was on the final list, and when the results arrived, she was the first from Maplewood High to place first in the entire state. The day she came home with the gold medal, the house filled with neighbors, flowers, and voices, but the loudest joy was silent when she placed the medal in our mother's hands and said, "This belongs to you." It was the start of something none of us saw coming. Within a year, she had earned a full scholarship to Ohio State University, studying educational psychology, and soon she was teaching underprivileged children for free. Every word she spoke carried echoes of that night with our mother. Emily married Robert under the old maple tree in our yard, and over the next 15 years, they had 6 children. Each of them seemed born with a quiet fire, a reflection of values rooted deep from that single conversation. Evenings in their home were filled with books instead of noise, debates instead of arguments, and whenever one of them struggled, Emily's voice softened into the same tone our mother once used on her. Each child began to chase a path that would ripple far beyond Maplewood. Sarah became a human rights lawyer. Rachel taught mindfulness to trauma survivors. Olivia became a nurse and led wildfire rescue teams. Ethan joined NASA. Lily filmed documentaries about mothers who changed the world, and the youngest carried dreams still unfolding. Yet all of them agreed their foundation was not just their mother, but the grandmother whose wisdom had lit the path, and that truth was beginning to carry them towards something even greater. Grace Parker lived long enough to see each of her grandchildren graduate. She would sit in her old rocking chair, wrapped in a faded shawl, cup of tea beside her, and clippings of newspaper articles scattered across her lap, each one a record of the lives she had shaped. Her eyes would follow the words slowly, her lips curling into the faintest smile. On an October morning, she did not wake. Emily found her in bed, her hands resting gently over her chest, the framed words fall forward, placed on the table beside her. The news moved through Maplewood like a soft wind that carried both sorrow and pride. Businesses closed for the day, not because of her passing alone, but because of the mark she had left on every life she touched. At her funeral, Rachel stood before the crowd, her voice steady as she read the eulogy. She never asked for recognition, but her wisdom built everything you see here today. We are not mourning her loss, we are celebrating the light she left behind after the service. Emily and her children made a choice, pooling their savings to open the Grace Parker Learning Center, a place where underprivileged students, single mothers, and even elderly neighbors could learn again. The walls were painted with quotes she had once whispered during quiet evenings. Above the entrance hung a wooden plaque engraved with the words "Full Forward." Each weekend, the rooms filled with laughter, determination, and the steady hum of turning pages, and in the quiet moments when the light filtered through the tall windows, Emily would look around and imagine her mother sitting in the back smiling, that same gentle smile that had once reached across a closed bedroom door. On those days, the air felt different, as if Grace herself was still walking the halls, not as a memory, but as a living presence in the voices of every student who dared to dream, and in the hearts of those who promised to carry her wisdom forward forever.